a lot about affordability. This is my, one of my top priorities, public safety, affordability. And I'm proud that last year we found ways to put money back in people's pockets, upwards of $5,000. But now we're trying to say, what else is disturbing you? What is that bill at the end of the month or quarterly that is just driving you crazy because you don't know why it's going up? So I want to put a spotlight on this issue once again and acknowledge that some accidents really are just that. They're accidents. But others are a result of a system that's just riddled with bad actors and fraud and excessive greed that rewards criminals and illegal behavior. And that's one of the reasons why New Yorkers pay some of the highest insurance rates in the entire nation, averaging $4,000 a year, a whopping $1,500 a year higher than the national average. So this doesn't exist just because every New Yorker did something wrong, but because of, as I said, the rampant fraud, the runaway litigation costs that are also jacking up prices. You can have emotional distress payouts to the drivers who actually caused the accident in the first place. It doesn't make any sense. And here's how it happens. You have these uninsured drivers, scofflaw motorists, even drunk drivers. They're all distorting the risk pool. So you have these owners of business, three brothers, who never file claims. You know why? Because they fix their own vehicles. And yet their premiums are going up higher and higher and higher. So you got to just ask why. What's going on here? So someone could be driving drunk, without a license, cause an accident, and recover for emotional distress. Or a reckless driver who hits another car will sue for pain and suffering. And a driver who caused an accident can be entitled to not just modest payouts, but literally millions and millions of dollars from the premiums of regular policy owners, which means all of you. So a drunk driver hits you while you're crossing the street, turns around and sues you for emotional distress. Or the person who rear-ends you and is found 80% at fault, then suing you for emotional distress. So it's also, this is frightening because there's been an increase in this, the number of criminals who are now staging accidents. You'll hear about this, how this is happening with more frequency. The purpose is to defraud drivers through our no-fault laws and collect outsized payments. And again, where these costs get passed down to? All the motorists in New York. So you can have a situation where someone causes the accident intentionally and gets a huge personal injury payout. So we're putting the brakes on that fraud. Enough is enough here in the state of New York. Obviously, it's taking on a big fight. It's been a problem for a while. It's getting worse. But nobody else is willing to stand up and say, why is this happening? And how can we do something about it? So I don't want to have a system anymore that rewards dangerous behavior. So if you're driving drunk, driving without a license, or committing a felony at the time of the crash, or caused the accident, you should not get a payday. I'm not sure who can argue with that. We'll start by reforming our tort laws to protect people who play by the rules and insulate the personal injury system from abuse. Now, another state, Florida, and I have to admit this, I don't usually follow the lead of Florida, but this is one area where they took a serious look at what was driving up their high insurance rates. They instituted very similar changes to these, and over a 1 or 2 year period, the insurance rates literally plummeted, in some cases 20%, and they gave a reback back to the policyholders. So I want to be very clear. If someone is involved in an accident, they're still entitled to fair compensation for damages. That's just how we'll continue this. But what they're not entitled to is millions and millions of dollars of additional compensation from suing the victims of an accident they caused. That's the scope of approach we're taking here. Other states already have these in place, so it's not new, it's not earth-shaking, and so should New York. We'll also have a cross-agency task force and reimagine the existing motor vehicle theft and insurance fraud board so our state police and the Department of Financial Services continue to crack down on swindlers and scammers. I want to make it easier to prosecute those who are involved in staged accidents. Again, that number, if you look statistically across the nation, we're becoming one of the highest. Also strengthen the penalties for those who break the law. So let me wrap up by saying this. It's real simple, everybody. we're going to continue in the state of New York to find ways to reduce your cost of living. And if one of those drivers of high costs is your insurance rates, we're going to peel back and find the causes. We've identified them, and now we're doing something about it in this session of the legislature. So hope you all join me in that effort, and I want to thank our friends here from tax and hear from them directly, not just what it's like to be three brothers running a business. They all get along really well. I already asked this question, but to find out what they're seeing firsthand as they work in a very well-known, popular, reputable repair shop here as well. So Matt, take it away.
Thank you. Of course. My name is Matt Ungerer. I'm one of the owners here at Tax Auto Body and Service. I'd first like to thank Governor Hochul very much for being here today to take the time to visit our shop. We truly appreciate you coming out today to meet with us, along with our county executive, Dan McCoy, and obviously our town supervisor, David Van Leuven, as well. It means a lot to have leaders like this in our state that come firsthand to the local level to see what's actually happening. Getting to the issue itself, I'd briefly like to just talk about our business for a quick minute. Our business was started by my father with a very simple mindset: to treat people right and to take care of the cars that they rely on every day. My two brothers and I, along with our entire team, which is here in the audience, have carried on that philosophy forward for the last 20 years now. When someone walks through our doors, it's not a great day for them. You can imagine. And no one wants to be in a car accident or have to negotiate the complexity of the repair and the insurance side of the repair. Our role is to just step in, be an ethical, transparent facility to take the stress out of the situation for our customers and the consumers of New York. Like Kathy was saying, I buy car insurance too. My car insurance has gone up multiple times. From what we see at the shop level, though, fraud in many forms exists. It doesn't just affect insurance companies, it shows up in higher costs with our premiums, longer claim times, and just frustration from honest customers and honest places like ourselves that are just simply trying to repair the vehicle and get you back on the road. We appreciate having this conversation with you and look for practical ways that our state can combat fraud, and it's nice to see that our industry is finally looking to combat some of the fraud on the insurance side of things. So thank you for that. So thank you for everybody for coming down today and listening, and yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Any on topic? All right. Guess we're taking some on topics while we have our experts here, our subject matter experts who can answer questions. If not, we'll move on to off topics, dismissing everybody.
Wait, sorry, do we have on topic? Mark, do you have an on topic question?
On topic. Do you, Governor, I'm sorry, have you spoken to the New York Insurance Association about this? And
My team has been in communication with them, of course.
in their reaction, are they supportive of this? Or?
I think everybody wants to see lower premiums in the state of New York and stop the defrauding and scamming, because they're not happy to have to raise premiums, I suspect, because of fraud and criminality. And so, this is something that, I suspect it'd be rare to find an industry that doesn't support this. I mean, I've had taxi cab drivers thank me for taking this on. I've had delivery drivers. I've had, homeowners and business owners. And, my mom used to have a small flower shop. I helped start that with my sister and I and my mom. And we would all drive the delivery vans around Mother's Day and Easter and drop off flowers, and did it in the snow in the wintertime. And I sometimes helped out with that effort. And I look at a company like that. I mean, that van is everything to them. If they can't make those deliveries, they don't exist. And if there's someone causing, intentional, accidents and, sidelines that delivery truck, that hurts their business. That's just one example. Plus the fact that they have to pay for the premiums because of the wrongdoing of others. So I look at this from a personal small business level as well, and know that it's affecting, basically everybody in New York.
Yeah, Governor, good morning. When you talk about insurance fraud, are you talking about civil penalties or criminal penalties? Do people go to jail for committing insurance fraud?
No, I believe it was our attorney, Greg, want to answer that, want to come over here. Go up to the podium. Introduce yourself.
Hi, Craig Alfred, Assistant Counsel to the Governor. Yeah, insurance fraud is a crime, and we're going to strengthen those penalties in the budget.
So people do go to prison for this?
They can, depending on the severity, yes.
So don't do it. Okay, I think we're good, everybody, thank you. Oh, okay.
On topic, I guess it's more for the tax guys. How does that fraud show up here at a shop? Like, or when someone shows up, can you tell, oh, this is a fraud, this is a scam?
Yeah, there's times, for us, the obvious piece of the fraud is when you have a front-end accident and you have someone saying, well, the bumper on the rear end is part of this claim. So you see that from the consumer side, but you also see this where, you have people that just stop fast and get rear-ended, and then, they're saying, well, this person shouldn't have stopped, and you kind of get in the mix of all of this. And then it's really on the insurance company to decide, is this a fraudulent claim or is this a legitimate claim? So we see a lot of fraud within our industry in general. So it's great that we're trying to make it better and bring the cost down, honestly.
Did you say there was some people, you did different groups of people working together in this?
Yeah, sometimes you do see like teams of people. Like I'm sure everyone's seen different things on social media where somebody just stops fast. It happens around like the larger cities more than we see here in the town of Bethlehem. But we talked to a lot of different shops that we're part of like different 20 groups with, and you hear a lot of it, closer to New York City, closer to Boston, where there's these teams of people. Someone stops fast, they get rear-ended, and next thing you know, there's this claim, and it just keeps going round and round. And, as the shop, we just want to fix the car and get you back on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But with the higher costs going up because of things like this, it's something that needs to be addressed, it seems like, not just here, but in every state. So.
Are you able to enumerate what percentage of claims might be fraudulent? Does anybody do that kind of tabulation?
That's not a lot of what we do. Our job is really to identify damage, have the conversation with the customer, and then communicate that damage to the insurance and really let their teams investigate those claims. And sometimes they come back to us and they're like, we're not fixing this car and we need to do further investigation. And other times it just moves forward as standard practice. So,
Last
yeah.
call for on topics? All right, we're going to excuse our attention.
Thank you. It was definitely a pleasure. Thank you.
Good to see you. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. How many people work for you?
We have 20 people.
That's great,
Yeah,
that's great.
we have a great crew.
Excellent,
So,
excellent.
thank you again for coming to see us.
Yeah, always.
Have a
Thank you.
great morning.
All right.
All right, we have time for just a couple off topics. Jack, go ahead.
Governor, on 287G proposal, have you spoken to the president at all about that? And when do you anticipate that the legislature would be interested in taking it up?
I couldn't hear the first part of the question.
Have you spoken to the president at all about it, and what did he say?
About this?
About the 287
Oh, no, I have not spoken to the president.
When do you anticipate that the legislature will?
Oh, I think they want to work on it soon. This is something that, you'd be interested to know that I hosted the Association of Mayors of the NICOM last night, and there were mayors of all political persuasions from every corner of the state who are very interested in taking this burden off of some of the localities where a sheriff or a county executive may have imposed this on them, that members of their forces have to be involved in this. So I think overall this has been, received very well because it makes sense. Local cops focused on local crimes. And when you think about the fact that, we do everything we can to keep people safe in our communities. The police officers need to be freed up for emergencies, car accidents, keeping down shootings and murders, and investigating retail theft and domestic violence cases. And that's what they want to be doing. And so the White House needs to pay attention to this. They need to know that this has been an epic overreach in the way they've conducted themselves. And it's not just ICE agents. For some reason, Border Patrol, I'd rather they be up on the northern border making sure I don't get drug traffickers coming in from Canada, which is what they're supposed to do, instead of, walking the streets of Minneapolis and other cities just looking to pick up people who've done nothing wrong. So they have to have a reset. They need to reset. They need to reform and retrain. Train these people. They clearly know nothing about conflict de-escalation. Every one of our police officers goes through 6 months of in-person training for the state police, in person. You ought to ask how much training they get if you're going to be a newly deputized or someone who's just decided, I want to go there because I took the $50,000 bounty to become an ICE agent. How much training are they getting? It is minimal compared to what we would do to protect people in a thoughtful way. And I'll also say this. This has severed the trust between law enforcement and communities because people are not distinguishing between, who the local police officers are and the ICE agents other than they are wearing masks. And it's just creating this sense of fear. And the police officers just want to go back to, I'm working hard to get people to believe in us again. And I can do my job more effectively when there isn't this fear and distrust. People are afraid to come forward and report crimes when they're not sure if that means they're going to end up in a situation at the other end of a fist of an ice or the end of a gun with an out of control ICE agent. So this is a real crisis in our communities right now, and focused right now on Minneapolis, but this can go on anywhere.
The Clintons aren't, they're refusing to come before Congress to talk about the Epstein files. Do you think they should go before Congress? And what was your reaction seeing the former president appearing in these images in the files?
I think this is just a political witch hunt that the Clintons have been subjected to for most of their political lives. I don't have all the details on it. I thought they were testifying. I don't know the details.
What was the reaction to that big dump of Epstein files?
Well, it's something that the president promised his supporters, and it sure took him long enough to get to it. And it's really interesting to me that every time the Epstein files, there's a new batch of them, a new tranche of them, that were focused on something else. I mean, first time was most recently it was Venezuela. Then all of a sudden there's more, and it's Greenland. I mean, he's just trying to take the focus off the fact that there are close connections between Jeffrey Epstein and the president as well. And I think they're always doing whatever they can to just, look over here, look over here, look over here. We're not buying it. His supporters aren't buying it.
Governor, you mentioned in your State of the State, in your budget, there's tariff relief for farmers. Some people are saying simultaneously it's not enough and it's a political stunt on your part. What do you say to that, and would you be seeking more relief to help people deal with the impacts of tariffs?
If you want to be doing the political calculation, clearly these are not areas that tend to vote Democrat where there's farms. I mean, so let's just put that out there. My only interest is knowing that they have been hit hard by the Trump tariffs. I convened a roundtable of farmers very early in the early last year, and they sat in my office and they're just saying, well, the cost of shavings from the wood I got from Canada just tripled. The cost of the aluminum that I used to repair my fences and my barns just went off the charts. And because Canada is now very unhappy with us, I'll be meeting the Council General later today, the Canadians are unhappy. They're not buying the farm products that our farmers count on that market for. And so I'm just doing what's right. I'm trying to help farmers that have come to me and said they're struggling. So they're grateful. I'm hearing a lot more gratitude than cynicism around my motivation. And I look forward to getting out and meeting with the farmers. And we're also doing more to help with the dairy farmers. And so I just put that in motion yesterday. And I want to be out there letting them know they've got a government, not the federal government, they got a government in New York State that's got their backs and appreciates them and knows they're an important part of our economy. We are a major agricultural state, and I know that because those are areas I used to represent.
Governor, curious since the Democratic convention, it's in a couple of days when you're announcing your pick, Lieutenant Governor, and also the reports that
there's at least been 2 people who have been offered the position but declined. Well, how did that, what do you make of that? And couldn't you tell before you offered it to them?
No. I will say this, there's only been one offer made and one person accepted, okay? That's the fact.
Someone accepted it? Saying who that is?
You'll all know all before the end of the convention on Friday. Before the end of the convention, all will be told. But no, I understand people let us know they don't want to go through vetting for whatever reason. We cast a wide net to see who wanted to be in a large pool of people, and others, so the offer went to one person. That one person accepted.
Thank you, guys.
Can you talk about your
Damn good. But
How concerned are you and how concerned should Americans be about the seizure of voting records in Georgia and perhaps in other states?
it's shocking. It is shocking. Also, the talk about nationalizing our elections. I mean, now we're absolutely dismantling our democracy brick by brick. Foundationally, this is the purview of the states. Without federal interference, there's more checks and balance when you have the states managing their elections than having one would-be king in Washington dictating how our elections are going to be run. People ought to be shaking in their boots at that prospect, that you're now going after undermining the foundation of our democracy. And it's endured for 250 years, and we're here to make sure it endures for the next 250 years as well. So we'll fight back, but I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope they realize that all these actions, attacking our democracy, having ICE surge throughout our city streets and our communities, it's not playing well politically for them either. And you just have to look at a race in Texas. What a shocker that was. And you're going to see a lot more of it this fall. And I wish they'd just do the right thing, because they're supposed to do the right thing. But if they can't see that their responsibility is to protect democracy and not destroy it, then they'll certainly feel the effects next November. But they've been warned. They've been warned.
Governor, if you care about immigrant New Yorkers, why are you committing to keeping them on the essential plan?
We're focused on doing whatever we can within the funding we have, because the federal government has cut out significant amounts of money from us, and we're trying to manage it. If the federal government hadn't cut $3 billion from us, we'd be in a different place. And the only ones we cover are people that are over 65 and moms with new babies.
Well, we can dump more money into child care. Why not use that
Federal
money?
government should release the $10 billion they cut from New York State. And then we're in a very different place in terms of how our $10 billion and 11.4% cut since last year.
$10 billion in the 1332 trust.
Pardon me?
That $10 billion
They have to. We're asking them to open that up to us. No, I'm talking about just the cuts in healthcare overall. The money in the trust fund is something that we cannot unlock without their permission, and we're asking them, and we've not been granted that permission yet.
They didn't grant that permission under Biden either, so.
I know.
Why would you expect Dr. Oz to sign off?
The money's there. The purpose is to take care of people, but I can't unlock it. Rob.
Governor, do you have any thoughts on the special election in the 61st district tonight between Jeremy Zellner and obviously Dan Cagliaro? I'm assuming you endorse Jeremy Zellner, but any thoughts on that race?
I endorse Jeremy Zellner. I've worked with Jeremy for literally decades. He's going to be a great senator, and I feel very confident about the outcome of that race, as well as our other special elections around the state.
Would you support him against John Rivera?
I've already indicated my support for what'll be a sitting incumbent come primary, and I'll be supporting the incumbent in that race. All right, thanks, everybody.